Hello and welcome back to the What is K-Pop podcast, where in which I talk all things K-pop groups, members, discographies, outfits, weird stuff. I don't even sometimes talk about K-pop. I often talk about my own life. And also I talked about the Pussycat Dolls one time, and that was a funny episode. So I was like, this is just pure chaos, and I kind of love it. So, what are we talking about today? We are talking about Devil, which is the second EP by Max CHANGMIN from TVXQ, because, the thing is that I was like, I need to talk discographies. I need to do the discographies. And I wanted to listen to the entirety of Devil. So I was like, well, two birds, one stone. And here we are. I listened to it this morning, earlier, because it's still the morning. I listened to it earlier, and my mum and my sister have just left for Asda. And my dad's asleep in this nook. So we have the best opportunity to do it. Also, yesterday I did try and film an episode on Fly to the Sky, but I was just, when you just have a little bit too much chaos in your life and you just end up not being able to formulate sentences, and you're like, what is wrong with my ass? So, quick little aside from yesterday. So I went to my support group and I was cooking, and me and my dad went and we did the cooking, but my dad kept on getting annoyed by the people because they kept on coming in and trying to help and do stuff, and he was like, I'm gonna have to go because this is just too much chaos. And he ended up going to the bank and doing a load of other jobs and was just like a busy little bee, and he ended up getting my print for me, the one that was in the gallery, and he bought the frame for it, which was like 25 quid. And so now we have it hung up in our lounge, and we even have the little piece of paper that went with it, the card that went with it, to say what our inspiration was. And I thought it was so funny that I still find it funny that I'm in a gallery. I'm like, why? How? Who? What sorcery happened for the curator to be like, let's put this in the gallery? But I get, it's a nice picture. Don't get me wrong, it's a nice picture. But it's one of those instances where you're like, one stupid person happened to have a really good phone and just happened to take a really nice picture. And I've had this picture for a while, so I genuinely liked it, and I had it printed. So I was like, I want to remember this pretty sunset, I want it to be put on my wall. And I wasn't thinking anything of it. And then obviously when I found out about the contest, I was like, okay, well, I'm towards the end of the age bracket, I'm 21, the age is 21. So I was like, well, what have I got to lose? It's just for fun, and I don't expect anything from it. And obviously when I went there and my mum was like, Sophie, your picture's up. I was like, huh? Pourquoi? Pourquoi? What are you talking about, mum? What are you chatting? What shit are you chatting right now? And now I have my photography up on the wall. And when me and my sister were younger, and we were in primary school, we actually, I don't know if my sister won, but I ended up getting, I believe it was first place when I was in key stage 1, and then I ended up getting second place in key stage 2, and it was probably some fucking leaf or something, or it's a flower that they just happened to take a picture of. So obviously back then, the technology was so much different, and pictures weren't that good. And also as a kid, I was really bad at taking photos. And it might even have been my dad took the photo and just he was like, yeah, you can submit this for the thing. I also have so many other stories about primary school to tell. I'd love to do it one day. I might do it actually. I might just do a fun bonus episode where I'm talking all things my primary school experience, because I just have really random stories. But yeah, no, we got that photo, and we were making dream catchers for the craft thing for the support group, and it was really funny because I was in between these two people that just constantly bicker, and one keeps on making really inappropriate jokes and the other one hates the inappropriate jokes. So as I sat in between them, they were just going off on each other until I made a joke, and the guy was like, we've managed to convert you. And I'm like, babes, there's one thing to know about me, is that I might look innocent and pretty and cute, but I can make an inappropriate joke just as much as you can. I don't know. I just find it funny because, like, obviously when they first met me, I was like really, really shy and stuff, and I didn't really want to talk, and I just kind of wanted to do the craft and just sort of be in the environment. But now I'm like being my chaotic and kind of weird self. And they're like, "Oh, we brought you out your shell." I'm like, I was always gonna go into the chaos. It just took time, which is understandable. It's completely new environment for me. But yeah, I ended up doing that, and we went home, and I relaxed, and then I had to cook dinner. And the funny thing was, is that actually the oven was on at 240 again, when it only needed to be at 200. And so my dad cooked the fish that we were having for dinner, like breaded fish, for 20 minutes, and that would have been satisfactory. But I forced my dad to cook it for 22. So it ended up being burnt, to say the least, and my dad was not pleased by that at all, to say the least. And it's just, the thing is I put it up to that temperature because if you put the oven higher than it needs, then, like, if you put it, like, quite high, that it heats up faster, I think. So yeah, my dad just didn't turn it down. He didn't think to turn it down because obviously, like, I say I put the oven on, you think, oh, I put it on to the right temperature. So that was interesting. And yeah, no, he wasn't exactly happy with me about that. But moving on. Going back onto the topic at hand, Devil is the second extended play by South Korean singer Max Chanmin. This is all from Wikipedia, by the way. It was released on the 13th of January 2022 by SM, and the EP consists of 6 tracks, including the lead single called Devil, and the physical album is available in 2 photo book versions. I wanted to see if I could buy it. It was like nearly 40 quid, and as much as I like K-pop, I feel like that price is a little bit egregious considering it is from Amazon, and I paid about 27 for Flip It Kick It, the Kickflip album, and like that was an EP still, and it was their debut one, so I would have expected it to be a little bit more pricey, but it wasn't, and I don't really want to pay more for an EP of just one person. So, yeah. And also, I checked at HMV, which, always go to for your K-pop albums if you live in the UK. It's very reliable, very good. And they didn't have it. The only TVXQ adjacent album they had was True Colours by and I've not listened to that. I've not listened to the album, and I don't want it. Sorry. I do actually like all their solo music. I like the 2 members' solo music. I've not delved into any of the solo stuff by the JYJ members, mainly because of the fact that I don't know what they have. And, the only member that I would trust would be Junsu, just because of the fact that he's not really gotten himself into, like, a very bad controversy. Like Yu-chun, he was in the Burning Sun, I think, scandal, and has done, like, really bad things. And Jae-jung, the only real problem that he's been involved in was that he April Fool's jokingly said on his Instagram or something, I don't know what it was, that he caught COVID, and that hours later he was like, actually no, it was a joke, haha. And like that kind of tainted my opinion on him. Not that, it's that deep. At the time it was like a year or so afterwards, and like, the world had supposedly forgiven him and stuff like that. But I was just like, that was a choice, and I hope you regret the choice that you made, because it wasn't a good one. Don't joke about that sort of stuff. Yeah. Also today is Yunho's birthday. He's 39 today. But we're talking about Changmin. Also, I think I caught a cold, which is fun. Cutesy Jamia cold. And my mum had it and my sister has it, and I'm probably catching it, but well, we'll live and we learn. Back to Changmin. So it was announced on the 28th of December 2021 that Changmin would be releasing his second solo EP in January 2022. And then on the 3rd of January it was announced that it would be released on the 13th. Which isn't that long, but I mean, the unfortunate truth is that obviously the second generation idols are not as popular. with the general public and with lots of fans as much as like the solo albums of other idols. So I do understand as to why the timing was quite short. But that is just the reality of being an older K-pop idol. Okay, so there's 6 tracks entirely on the EP, which I am very pleased about because sometimes we only get 5 or even 4. And they're all good lengths. The longest is 4 minutes and 6 seconds Fever, which is track number 3, and then the shortest is 2 minutes 44, which is Dirty Dancing. They don't actually feel that short, which is good. I know that one of the songs off of TVXQ's latest Japanese album, which they released at the end of last year, is like 6 minutes long, and that one is a doozy to get through. Sometimes when you're just ready for another song, just want to hear a different song, just come on, do this song. So we have Devil, Maniac, Fever, Alien, Dancing, and Airplane Mode. And I actually wrote stuff down on Notepad, mainly because of the fact that I couldn't be asked to do it on my phone. So first track I listened to, because I listened to Devil and Fever a lot, and I don't want to, make my dad suffer through listening to it again, so I had to wait until he left to listen to the other ones to properly analyse them. But Maniac, it reminds me a lot of the Hairspray soundtrack, or just Hairspray in general. Because the funny story with Hairspray, I think I've mentioned this before. I'm pretty sure I have. I was to have been listening to Good Morning Baltimore before I started the Teams meeting when I was still in college for my business class. And when I got onto the call and unmuted everything and was trying to hear what was being said, Good Morning Baltimore just blasted through my laptop. And I think they heard. They didn't say anything, thankfully. But I do constantly now remember that incident whenever I hear Good Morning Baltimore. It's still a banger and I'm still willing to listen to it, but it's kind of a bit embarrassing. But back to Maniac. It's very performance coded, which I found with pretty much all of the album, actually. I guess that Changmin made it with the idea that he'd perform it, and that is the vibe of a lot of second gen, I think, from the stuff that I've heard, which honestly, I love that. I love that so much. There are so many 4th and 5th gen songs that I'm I could not imagine this being performed, and I quite honestly don't want it to be performed. Particularly even I'm Ready by Chungha. I'd love to see it performed, even if it's just one time. If Chungha did a special performance video where obviously there is one, but live, and she did the entire thing. Yeah, granted, she'd probably collapse on the stage after the song and be I'm absolutely never doing this ever again. And that would be understandable. I feel like I would want to see that performed only one time. But there's so many other songs that I'm this is just not it. Not it. There's just something about second gen that's so performance focused that 4th and 5th, they're just not vibing. I don't know why. It's just not. It has a certain je ne sais quoi to it. A certain something is what it means, and I just don't get the same energy from it. But there was a lot of belting in Maniac, which is Changmin's thing that I've noticed and also read and just generally knew going into this, and it's very prancy dancey, there's a funny running joke in between me and my mum, kind of, that when I've got some excess energy and I just want to go outside, I'll be I'm just gonna go outside and prance around like a pony, and I'll just run around the garden for a few minutes, come back in, and we just never talk about what we witnessed or did in the garden, because it's normally when my mum's in the kitchen and she'll just be yeah, no, this kid is really weird. This one I made, It's extremely weird. So, I'm not answering the phone. So, the lyrics were by Danke, which is Lala Studio, and the music was by Pete Kirtley, Andrew Murray, and Sam Roman, and the arrangement was by Pete Kirtley, Andrew Murray, and, well, the same team, and Sam Roman. I can't help but think of, like, Andrew Murray as, like, the tennis player, because there's a famous British tennis player called Andy Murray. If you didn't know, I didn't know that. Next song I talked about is Alien, and its start was very diner. Has an easy metronome to listen to. Some songs, they're like, you can hear they're like beats. Obviously, like like the beats of the song, and if it's like I don't know, like 120 beats per minute, which means that every 1 second there's 2 beats of a song, and like the more beats there are, the harder it is necessarily to tell when the beats are. And on this song, it has like the da 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 da. Ow! They might think it's like a weird filler word. And I even put, it makes you want to shake your hips around, and it has a similar sonic story to Maniac, as does all of the album, which honestly I really like that. We do not see that much in K-pop. It's definitely one of those albums where like you can listen to one song or you can listen to the whole album and it still makes sense in song context, and it's different in its own way, very Changmin, which is good. He worked on the lyrics of the song, and the music was made by Al Jadef, Kenneth McGregory Sharpless 2, and I can't speak. And the arrangement was made by Mike. So next up, we listen to Dirty Dancing. Ballroom dancing, flamenco adjacent. Obviously, flamenco dancing music is quite instrumental in its tonality instead of necessarily being produced, but it had the same sort of vibe. That's why I said it was like flamenco adjacent. I love how I'm like saying all of these words and I'm making it sound as though I actually understand musical production. I took piano lessons for 2 years, but I'm also just like guessing if that's like the right terminology to use. A song I could see being covered well, which isn't that common with like specifically TVXQ and like Changmin songs, because of, they're made for Changmin. They aren't made necessarily for idols who can be emulated, if that makes any sense. Like, he has such a particular way of performing, which isn't a diss on like other idols. There are so many groups that I like. Clearly you've seen the podcast, and there are a lot of groups that I like, but these songs, practically all of the album, I don't think could be covered. Dirty Dancing, I definitely feel like could be covered, and reminds me of 2018 Ed Sheeran a little bit. I think it was 2018, but I have a really bad memory, is what we're figuring out here. And it's like a good background music, particularly Devil and Fever. I don't think I could listen to in the background. Like, you almost have to be watching the performance video for you to fully get the vibe of the song and just like jam out to the song. So it was made by, the lyrics were written even by Che Jae-yoon from Jam Factory. The music was by David Straff, Alexander Good, Giltman, and Ephraim Leo, and the arrangement was by David, which is good. And that was the shortest song on the whole album. And last but no means least, for like the, what am I saying, airplane mode, consistent all the way through. I said that Own You from Shiny could cover this very well and would do it well. And I wanted to, oh wait, no, I didn't write it on. It's very solo song coded. I don't imagine it could ever be sung by like 2 people, which, it's fine. Solo songs are meant to be your songs. You're meant to have them fit your vibe and stuff. And maybe Do-young could cover this as well. I wanted there to be like the examples of like other idols who could like do it. I love how both of them are SM. Like, all of the people I've said so far are SM. Like, maybe they just have really good like belters. Singers that can like belt out music and stuff, if you're wondering what I mean by that. Yeah, I imagine that Do-young from NCT could do it well, but I don't know of any other like singers who like are still in the industry that could perform it as well as CHANGMIN does. Oh, I got a kudos on AO3, which is nice. And I said I would like to see it performed, but you know, you don't have to perform every single song that you put out. Devil and I said Devil and Maniac. Devil and Fever. I'm going to start with Devil and then go on to Fever. Oh wait, no, I haven't said the production behind Airplane Mode. So the lyrics were by Lee Yi-jin from 153 and Junebass, and the music was by Mitch Hansen, Burke Preisler Pagborg. I'm not even going to try and attempt that name, I'm sorry. Emily Harlow and Alex Stacey, and the arrangement was by Kutfavi Devil. So I saw the comments, I read the comments because I knew that I was probably gonna, talk about it. And someone said it kind of reminds me of a lot of gospel music, which I was like, yeah, no, I do, and I do see that now. I do hear it now, and I literally just said it was uncoverable because I don't think anyone could get the vibe of Devil the same way as CHANGMIN does, and it has the makings of a battle song. Like, yeah, and it reminded me a little bit of Circle by Onyu, which again I feel like maybe Onyu could cover it, but I feel like CHANGMIN could cover Circle better than Onyu could cover Devil. I also just remembered that Onyu isn't under SM anymore, but you know what I mean. And it has Grandiose all over it, And also CHANGMIN wrote the lyrics for it. Like, he's the sole lyric writer. So I'm like, of course it's good. And the music was by Alexander Holmgren and Jay Birch, and they also did the arrangement. So Fever, The Greatest Showman-esque so much. Mainly through the performance video that I watched, and I just was like, yeah. I also wrote that Yoonho could do an ad-lib here and there. So I was like, well, it's just a little bit of fun. And very second gen, but still feels very current, which I'm kind of thankful for. Obviously, the music they've made has evolved a little bit into the style of the current generation that they're in, which I'm very thankful for. But even Berotic, which is one of their most favourite songs, and that was made in the second generation, I still feel like if they released it now, it would be very popular. Maybe not as popular as it was back then, but it would still be very good. And they still actively perform it. So that just says how music is so timeless, and Devil and particularly Fever feel very timeless. If Fever came out, I don't know, if they debuted a soloist a little bit earlier on in their career and CHANGMIN released this earlier in the career, I still feel like it would be just as good. But yeah, my next comment was, I love the haze because they are belted and I love it. It's snatched. It literally got me in a throat chokehold and I loved it. And I even wrote, he could punch me and I'd apologise to him. So yeah, that was yeah. And the production was Yu Young Jin from the lyrics, the music and the arrangement. So yeah, I do hope that you enjoyed my little cheeky review of Devil by Max CHANGMIN. I will keep you updated of whether or not I can get the EP, but I'm not going to spend an egregious amount of money to get it. So it might just be I'm listening to it on my phone type of situation. But yeah, thank you as always for listening, and I will talk to you guys again very, very soon. Bye.